Hi guys, Josh here with Northern Frogger, and today I want to take a break from the frogs for a minute to talk about this unit behind me, which is kind of my homemade chicken egg incubator. I've got some eggs incubating in there right now. So I just kind of want to give you a quick rundown on how this thing works and talk a bit about the basics of incubating chicken eggs, and hopefully show you how to candle an egg to see how it's developing. I tried taking a video of candling some of the eggs before, and it was really hard to get it to show up properly, but I think I figured out a way to do it better, so hopefully I can get some decent footage of doing that with at least one egg. Now this video might not do very well. Most of the videos that aren't talking about frogs haven't done very well, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway, just because I think it's pretty cool. And this is probably the only time this year I'm going to be doing this, so just kind of wanted to show it, because if I don't show it now, I'm not going to have the opportunity again for quite a while. This will be the third time that I've used this incubator. First time didn't go very well. I only ended up with one chick out of the 12 eggs that I started. But I think that was mainly due to the fact that I have pretty old hens that I was getting them from. So the second batch I actually used 6 of my own eggs and 6 eggs from somebody else I know that also has chickens. And all 6 of the other person's eggs hatched, and none of mine did on that second batch. So yeah, I think it was basically just an issue with me having some pretty old hens. They were almost at kind of the end of their laying life. At that point I was trying to get eggs from them anyway, so it's kind of knowing that the fertility kind of goes down at that point. But these ones in there right now are all from my own hens. These would be all the offspring of that other guy's chickens that I hatched last time. So you'll see later these are actually all kind of blue, green, olive shelled eggs. But yeah, let me show you how this thing is set up. Alright, so one of the main things you need for incubating chicken eggs is a heat source. And you want to keep them at about 99.5 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. For a forced air incubator, which is what I have, if you have a still air incubator you want to keep it a little bit higher. So I've got the heat being controlled by this Herpstat thermostat right now. It's running these 3 7-watt heat pads at the back of the incubator here, and that's providing all the heat for this thing. And I mentioned this is a forced air incubator, so there are 2 like small computer fans in there moving the air around, and they are hooked up to this fan controller, so I can control the speed. So if I move this up and down, you should be able to hear the fans ramping up and down. And I normally set it at about 3/4 speed, something like that. I don't think it's that important how fast they're going. But one of the other main things you need to be able to do to incubate chicken eggs is a way to move them. They kind of need to be turned from time to time. If you don't turn them, the embryos can kind of get stuck to the inside of the shell and then they won't develop properly. So you need to be able to kind of move them back and forth. You can do this manually, and if you're doing it manually you should turn them minimum 3 times a day. It's basically hooked up to this relay and this actuator, and this would normally be used to like open and close a valve on like a heating control system or something like that. But I've basically just got it clamped to this shaft here, which is actually a piece of an old fishing rod that the tip had broken off, so I kind of cut it down and repurposed it for this, and you'll see how that's connected to the eggs in the inside in a minute there. But so that relay is hooked up to this timer, and it's one of these ones with the little tabs that you can flip up and down. So I've just got every other one up, so they kind of just alternate up and down. So when the timer flips on, this thing turns one way, and then when it flips off it turns back the other way. So I believe that thing is going every half an hour, so the eggs get moved back and forth twice an hour, so 48 times a day. I'll show you what that looks like on the inside in a second here. And one of the other main things you need to worry about for incubating is a way to do the humidity. And that's one of the main reasons that you candle eggs, to kind of keep track of how that's developing and whether you need to lower or raise the humidity. But I'll maybe talk a bit more about that as I candle one. But for now I've just kind of got this little guy in here, fill that up with water and put that in there, and then as that evaporates it'll up the humidity inside of here. It is empty right now, just because the air cells in here are a little behind where they should be at this point. So I'm letting them dry out a little bit more. Alright, so I'll just show you the inside of this thing quick. It's going to be fairly quick because I don't want the temperature to drop too much, but I've also got this glass viewing window kind of countersunk into the top here so I can kind of see what's going on as the chicks are hatching. You don't want to disturb the temperature or humidity too much, so it's nice to be able to kind of watch them through here. But on the inside here, basically I mentioned I got the fans. There's the 2 fans in the corner there kind of moving the air around. The heat pads I already talked about in the back. Little thing for water to increase the humidity, and I have different size containers I can use for this too, just to get more surface area, create more evaporation and increase the humidity even more. Also got this just jar of water in here, and that's just kind of acts as like a temperature damper to kind of even out the temperature swings, especially like when I take the lid off here. Having this hot water in here will kind of help it get back up to temperature quicker. And then here are the eggs. They're just sitting in like a cardboard egg carton, or the bottom half of it. This is the probe for the thermostat. And yeah, they just kind of sit. You can see, I don't know how well you can see it, but it's one of the guides from the fishing rod I've kept on there and just kind of stuck it through the carton here, and that kind of just holds it in place. I've also just got this kind of wire mesh barrier here, and that's just there for when the chicks actually start hatching, just to keep them away from the fans and from the actual heat pads here. I've also got this whole system running on this UPS battery backup thing, just because I do live in the country and our power is not the most reliable. We actually just had a big spring snowstorm a few days ago, and the power was kind of flickering on and off for hours there. So we don't have too many long power outages out here, but last time I was actually running this incubator, we did get about a 2-hour power outage, and I had a UPS running on that one as well, but apparently it wasn't working, and I ended up actually firing up the generator just to keep the incubator running. So I've tested this one now and I know it works. This thing can actually run this incubator setup for about 3 hours or so on full heat output. So it's pretty rare that we would get a power outage that lasts longer than that. So the system is fairly bulletproof at this point now. And to show you how the turner works here, I'm just going to turn the timer a bit so it activates, and you'll see it kind of slowly move over to the other side. And so as I flip it, you'll hear the relay click and that thing will start to move. So it does go pretty slowly. See it just slowly shifting over there. This is what it looks like on the inside. And you know, they don't have to be totally turned over from one side to the other. You know, you just kind of move them enough that it relieves the pressure from one side. So that's all the turner does, is kind of go back and forth like that. But yeah, that's basically all there is to the incubator there. So I'm just going to try to candle an egg here and see if I can get some decent footage of it. I think I'm going to have to go... I think the main reason it didn't work before is that it was just a bit too bright in the rest of the room, so I think I'm going to go into the utility room here where it's pretty dark and see if it'll show up. Alright, I think this is going to work. Sorry if the audio is not the best for this, but basically this is one of the eggs that this is the egg that I pulled already because it had a blood ring. So basically, to candle it, you kind of want to shine the light in from a bit behind and from the fat end. The other thing when you're incubating them is you want to have the pointy end facing down, because the air cell is going to be at the fat end. So to candle it, you basically just from the top and in the back a bit, you kind of shine the light in there, and then it kind of gives you a silhouette of what's going on inside. So you can see here, there's this line, this red line that goes all the way around. That's what they call a blood ring, and that's basically it. It started to develop, it started to make some blood vessels, but something went wrong there. And this is basically just like the blood vessels decomposing. So if you get an egg and you see this red ring that goes all the way around it, you know that one's no good. So this is one that I pulled a couple days ago. I'll show you one next, of a good one hopefully, and you'll be able to see what a healthy developing egg looks like. Alright, I've got another one here. This should be a good egg. I'm going to do this quickly because I don't want it to cool down too much, but Now you can see here the light part at the top of the egg, that's going to be the air sac, or the air cell, or whatever you want to call it. And basically that's what the chick is going to pip into first before it starts to break through the egg. Now I don't think it's going to show up on camera here, but I can see there are like some blood vessels. I don't know if you can maybe see that one there, but you can kind of see some blood vessels kind of spider webbing out along the inside of the shell there, and that's a good sign. That's kind of what you want. Those blood vessels are kind of absorbing a little bit of oxygen through the shell to supply the developing embryo. So you see some healthy blood vessels, you see the air cell at the top. This is still pretty small for being on like day 9 or something, day 10 here. So I'm going to leave the humidity low for now, but I got to get this guy back in the incubator here. I might try another one quick too. Alright, so I'm going to try this one as well, and it's just kind of a matter of moving it around until you get the right angle to be able to see in there. You can kind of see the air cell in this one too. This one's got a bit bigger air cell. That's about closer to where you would want it for this stage. It's a little bit too dark, I think, to see the blood vessels. Probably would have been easier to see a bit earlier on, but let me go throw this guy back. Alright, that's going to do it for this incubator video. I was hoping I could show you the candling a bit better, but what can you do? I should have done it a bit earlier when the blood vessels were more visible. But it's not really a big deal to be able to see them. Basically the main reason I candle them is to keep track of that air cell size so I can know whether I need to raise or lower the humidity. Definitely still a little on the small side of where it should be, so I'm going to keep that humidity low for now. So we're almost halfway through the incubation here. I think I started these on April 21st, and they should be hatching out like May 12th. Chicken eggs will take pretty much exactly 3 weeks to hatch. It's usually right on 21 days. Sometimes like a day earlier, a day later, but basically it's good to go. I don't really have to do anything with this. I might candle them in another couple days and see how that air cell's doing, if I need to start adding any water to up the humidity or not. Probably not, I'm guessing. I'm probably going to be able to let them go with basically nothing right up until like the lockdown stage. And what they call like lockdown, the last few days of the incubation period, you basically want to stop turning them and raise the humidity really high. But yeah, I think that's basically all I wanted to say about this thing. I might do another quick update video just when I go into that lockdown mode, because I'll probably candle them all again before that, because once you start that, you're supposed to kind of leave them and not disturb them, not let the temperature and humidity fluctuate too much once that process starts. So I'll probably candle them all again right before I start that lockdown and take out any other ones that have stopped developing. So I might do a quick update video when I do that and see how it's going, and then probably another one once they start to hatch. Alright, so I'm going to close this video out. If you have any questions or comments or suggestions about this thing, let me know down in the comments there. And thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you next time.